Hey, welcome to the Publish, Promote, Profit podcast with me, Rob Kosberg. Every week, I interview thought leaders and experts who have used a book to grow their income and their impact. So tune in weekly for these interviews so you can learn how to use your own best-selling book and go from hunting for clients and opportunities to instead being the hunted. Hey, welcome everybody. Rob Kosberg here. Another episode of Publish, Promote, Profit podcast is on the way, and I'm super excited to have a guest that I have some personal business questions for. I think you're going to learn a lot from. Mark Lachance is the CEO of Maxi Media. I believe that's maxi.media as well if you want to find that online. They're one of the largest TikTok marketing agencies in the world and the highest spender on the platform in Canada. Mark's the best-selling author of The Lucky Formula, How to Stack the Odds in Your Favor and Cash In on Success. Very, very cool. Mark's made many investments in various industries, payment processing, cryptocurrency, which we have a lot in common. I love crypto. I've been investing since 2017 myself. Also marketing, nutrition, fitness, sports. Over the last 25 years, he's invested in and consulted for dozens of ventures and has done very, very well. So Mark is also a recent Floridian. As I learned, Mark and I both moved to Florida during the craziness that has gone on in the world. So Mark, great to have you on the podcast. Thanks for taking some time with us.
Great to be here, Rob. Thanks for having me.
You know, there's a lot for us to talk about. And like I said, I have some personal questions, at least from a business perspective, to ask you about TikTok. I think it is a very intriguing platform with over, 1 billion users. Pretty amazing what they've done. But let's start on the Lucky Formula. It obviously, the title itself would lend me to believe that you're focused more on helping people in general with success. It's not so much about your media buying agency or the specifics, the nuts and bolts of online marketing. Talk to me about why you wrote it, what the focus of it is for you, that sort of thing.
Sure. Well, Lucky, which is, if Rob, we spoke before, Lachance, which is my last name outside of the United States, right? That actually means lucky.
Love it. Love it.
So it's the Lucky Formula by Mark Lachance or Lachance, Mr. Lucky, which is my name on Instagram also. So the book is about how to stack. It's about how to stack the odds in your favor and cash in on success. And the premise is that luck is not a fluke; it's a formula. So if you understand the formula to success, basically, so you can interchange the word luck with success. If you understand the steps and the formula to it, anybody can achieve it. So that's basically what it is. Now, the book starts out with my mega colossal failure in life, Rob. I'm sure you've had those. And I'm sure, many people that are listening now have had those mega colossal failures. And I had an epic one back in 2007. If you want me to get into it, Rob, I can. But
yeah, let's share failures. Come on, man. I had mine in 2007 and 2008 as well. So let's hear all about it.
Oh, and I'll bet you it's wrapped around real estate like mine was. There it is. So I was in 2006 fresh off a huge win. I sold shares in a company that I was one of the founders in, and I had millions in the bank. And then, as one often happens when you're full of cash and you think you can do no wrong, So I plowed it all into a real estate investment in northern Quebec. And this is interesting, maybe interesting to you, Rob, because I think you're a huge music fan.
I am.
I plowed it into an investment called Le Studio. And Le Studio was a place where, many famous artists recorded, like Sting, Celine Dion, David Bowie, The Police, the Bee Gees. And Rush actually did, I think it's all 7 of their biggest albums there. So Anyway, I'm hundreds of artists. So the whole idea was to buy the property, and it was 200 acres around a lake, develop it and sell it to the Brits, because the English were rolling into northern Quebec, and the currency was almost a 2-to-1. So it's basically they were getting property at half price. And 2 other developments had already, rocked it. They sold out within weeks. And so lo and behold, I get involved in a deal in 2007, and
Yikes.
The date. and also with a not so scrupulous partner as well. So those two together led me down the path of almost been near bankruptcy, anxiety, depression, and a sort of awakening. I'm no longer the king of the hill, and I have to crawl out from under a rock. So that was pretty really, really hard. So that's where the book starts out anyway.
I appreciate you sharing that. I know some people call it cycling, right? And not bicycling, but cycling where, people often will cycle through, a failure to really learn the lessons that they need to learn in their life and in their business, so that the second time around, when opportunity meets preparation, right? Luck comes, that we're prepared for it, and prepared maybe to keep it rather than lose it. So I assume that that's part of the reason that you tell that story. And, talk me through what the formula is. Share with me what the steps are, where that leads to in the process.
Sure. So the formula itself is number one, it's internal mastery. So internal condition mastery plus external condition mastery plus action equals luck. So I plus E plus A equals luck. And what does that mean? That means when you master your internal conditions. So an example of that would be, so Rob, when you wake up in the morning, what do you tell yourself? Right? So I'll give you an example around that. So it's language or narrative is one of the pieces of the formula, right? So when you wake up in the morning, do you tell yourself you're a rock star? Or do you tell yourself, oh, woe is me, I'm a loser? Right. What do you do? Right. So Rob, I would assume, just based on the brief time, we've had here, you tell yourself you are a rock star, especially with that voice that you have. You're definitely a radio rock star. So that's part of it. So the narrative. So, what I tell myself is I am happy. So affirmations, I am happy, I am wealthy, I am healthy, I am a rock star, I'm amazing. And you keep on repeating those things over and over, which brings energy to you. I've got energy exercises I do from Dr. Barry Morguelan. So that brings the energy in, it brings positive energy in. You're feeling great. Meditation, you're moving, your posture. So all those pieces, combined make up your internal mastery. And there's 10 of them, and they're easily stackable. So for example, one crazy one is look in the mirror and just smile for 2 minutes.
Oh, nice.
Right.
Yeah.
So physiology, sit up straight. You notice I sit up straight, my shoulders back. I'm not hunching.
Love it.
So all of these things together bring the positive energy and the power to you. So that's internal mastery. And there's many others. So I don't want to give away all the secrets here, Rob.
Yeah, no, it's good. Good stuff, man.
So I'll give you an example around story or narrative or language, that you tell yourself. So I was at the physiotherapist. I'm getting both my shoulders worked on. And, he's working on my shoulders, and a woman walks in and he says, "Hey, how you doing?" I think her name was Cindy, or, maybe it wasn't Cindy, but "How are you doing?" She's like, "Terrible. My back hurts. My knees hurt. My shoulders hurt." So think about her day. How is her day going to go? Yeah. Is her day going to be lucky and awesome, or is her day going to be just probably terrible and awful and I'm hurting? Yeah. So that's part of, right? That's part of language. So if you're waking up, if you're telling yourself a great story all day long, if your narrative is telling yourself how great you are, then there's a really good chance that you're going to be great. Yeah. So if you go to, if you read Tim Ferriss's book, Tools of Titans, he interviews, I think it's 500, very highly successful people in that book. And 75 to 85% of the Titans in his book meditate. So success leaves clues, right? So for me, I tell the story of how meditation for me is my biggest game changer. Now, why is that? And this may be some of the people on your podcast as well, wake up in the middle of the night and have all these crazy thoughts through their head. So when I launched my company in 2009, I would have, I'd wake up in the morning and 3 a.m. and think the board's going to fire me. I'm going to get fired. I'm going to be just crazy thoughts. How could I get fired when my company's tracking to be the quickest company to cash flow positive in the payment space? So the thoughts in your head are crazy. So what meditation did, especially the technique I use, it helped to cut those voices, those crazy voices, and just maintain focus on, the large goal, which is to create a highly profitable company and employ hundreds of people, which we did.
Wow. Fantastic.
So that's internal mastery, and I can continue on with external if you want.
Yeah, I wish you would. I think, I'm super intrigued. I'm absolutely getting the book. I was already on it this morning and ordered it. And so, but I'm interested in hearing more because I'm trying to think of, how I go about my day and where these things kind of fit with what my practices are. So please, let's talk about the next step in it.
Okay, so then when you talk about external mastery, you've got so things like crew, so crew is one of the titles of the one of the sections, and crew is the people you hang around with. Right. So you are Jim Rohn famously said, you're the average, maybe somebody else before him said that, but I learned it from Jim Rohn, but you're the average of the 5 people you hang around with.
Right.
And think about that. So Rob, if I hung around with you moved to Florida, I moved to Florida because of you, and chances are we have the same thought process and the same mindset.
Yep.
If you're hanging around in the gym, like for example, the gym, and there's a good story for you about luck. So turns out when we moved here 2 months ago, and you know this because you're in Florida, the rental market's so tight right now.
Yes.
It's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So I had to scramble to find a rent. And it turns out that the place I'm renting right now, we just bought a place, so we're moving in the next couple of weeks. But the place I'm renting right now, it turns out he's the rock star personal trainer in this whole area in Parkland, Florida.
Wow.
Right. His name is Manny Mary. He runs an event called Soldier Rush. He just had 2,000 people doing an obstacle course.
Whoa.
And he trains all the professional athletes here, all the Florida Panther hockey players.
Yeah.
So it just so happens that this is my personal trainer now because I moved into his house. Right.
How cool.
Right. That's awesome. And it's opened so many doors. So think about that.
Yeah.
Manny's part of my crew. So now Manny's, one of the people I hang around with down here in Florida. He trains professional athletes. He trains hedge fund managers. He trains business owners. Yeah. So my circle of influence just grew massively because I hang around with Manny.
Right.
So think about that. That's a huge piece, right?
Yeah.
And, another example I give in the book about crew is the events that you go to. So personal development. And Rob, I'll bet you go to personal development events.
I do.
So I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan. Roll back the clock 11 years ago, 10 years ago, I was at an event that was in Las Vegas, Business Mastery. So I happened to be sitting next to this gentleman named David. David is a good friend of mine now, and he has been for the last 10 years. And David introduced me to a gentleman that might buy my company for mega dollars, like mega dollars. Yeah. So crew, who do you hang around with? It will largely dictate your future, largely.
Right.
And now some people might be asking, yeah, well, it's easy for you, Mark. You're, you're wealthy and you're lucky and you're all this other stuff. But I didn't start out that way.
Right.
Right. You're going to read in the book that, that I actually started in construction, working for my father, working on the roof. Yeah. In the sweltering heat. So another piece of the formula is your why. Do you have a massive why? One of my massive whys is to never wake up, look out that window and see that red blazing sun come up over the horizon. So I never, ever have to get on that roof again. Yeah. Have you ever worked in construction or been on the roof?
No, but I've worked in the fields. And so I've worked in orange groves, and I grew up in a kind of a country area. So I've baled hay and run the fences, and that's horrible. That's hard work.
Right?
Yeah.
So look, that's a huge why. I work so hard, and and I've learned investing in recurring revenue and cash flow yields because I never ever want to get on that roof again. I never ever want to put it on a bill, and I never ever want to put pick up a hammer. Even it's to a point where my wife is like, put up this picture, and I'm like, no, I don't want to touch that hammer. I don't want to do it. Right. So all that intertwined, and then you've got how do you eat, your supplementation, how do you sleep. Last night I had a rock star evening of sleep. I slept a solid 8 hours, and I don't usually get that. I usually get about 6.5. Yeah. But if you do your research, science, real science will tell you that between 6 and 8 hours a night is what men should get of sleep. Yeah. Last night I had a solid 8. I feel like a complete rock star this morning, and it's also other part of the formula is financial abundance. And then again, other people might be saying, yeah, that's easy for you, Mark. You're wealthy, but I didn't start that way, Rob. Right, I didn't start as wealthy. My father, his family comes from the farm in Eastern Quebec. Yeah. Nobody ever gave them anything. So work ethic is part of taking action, which is the last part of the formula. So it's work ethic, right? Ingrained into our family is flat out work ethic. So my grandfather was a farmer. My father worked on the farm.
Yeah.
My father was in construction. My father was up at 5 a.m, to prepare the construction crew, on the job at 6, back home at 6 o'clock at night, working to prepare the plans for the next day. Cause he also was the architect of all the deals that he did, all the right. So I learned that type of work ethic from my father. Right.
Yeah.
And all that's in the book. So
yeah.
Again, I plus E plus A equals luck.
Yeah, I love it. Mark, I love it. I mean, we'll give some links. Obviously, people can get it on Amazon. You were just telling me as well. I mean, just recently launched, and right now it's number one on Kindle. So congratulations for that. Very, very cool.
Well, I'm going to actually tell you right now live where it is. It was on all of Kindle, and I think there's over 9 million books on Kindle. Let's check. We're checking this live right now.
All right.
Let's see. So last night it was number 354 on all of Kindle, and it was number one in certain categories. Today, right now, this second, hang on, it is number 20 in all of Kindle.
Dang.
And number one in 3 different categories: in business and investing, number one in personal transformation, and number one in personal finance.
Well, congratulations, my friend. That's you got a nice big marketing launch going on right now because of I mean, you don't get that success accidentally, right?
That's right. Well, it's a lot about, knowing the formula. So there's a formula to everything, right?
There is.
There's the lucky formula, then there's the lucky formula of marketing, then there's the lucky formula of building a business, building a successful podcast. So I should ask you, tell me how you do a successful podcast, Rob.
Yeah. Amazing, great guests like you. Interesting people to talk to. Makes for interesting listening. So I love it.
Awesome. All
So
right. So
let me shift gears because, I want to get the book. I mean, everything that you've shared, I think is going to motivate a lot of people to want to get the book. I want to go a little more narrow, and I want to talk a little bit about Maxi Media, which I believe you have multiple ventures, or maybe you did, and maybe you've sold, and Maxi is your focus. I'm not sure, but either way, I mean, you've built one of the largest TikTok agencies in the world, and the highest spender on the platform in Canada. That's significant. Talk to me about what you're finding on that advertising platform for, business owners, consulting, higher ticket type offers. Because I think in terms of a platform like that, and I think you could probably sell, stuff on Shopify stores, T-shirts, things like that, collectibles. But is there an opportunity for someone like myself, a company like mine that does ghostwriting, book publishing, book marketing, all those kinds of things, to find my ideal clients? Is there a way for consultants to find their ideal clients on TikTok?
Well, if you asked me that question a year ago, I would say no. But today I'm going to tell you absolutely yes, because the demographic of the platform is skewing up every single day.
Nice.
Right. And here's the opportunity for somebody like you. I'm going to be frank. I am personally not on TikTok.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I'll be frank. I'm not. But the opportunity for anybody that's an influencer. And by the way, many influencers aren't on TikTok right now. Many are not. And I'm going to tell you, it's hard work, right? It is hard work, but you will be paid back quickly because you can grow user base right now. It's in its growth phase, tremendous growth phase. And you can get to 2 million followers pretty quickly if your content is interesting and you do all the right things. So Rob, what I was thinking about is holding, for people like yourself, is holding a quick tutorial, a Zoom call, and maybe you can help me put that together, with some of my top creators to give you guys tips and tricks on how to build, because I've got many are top creators. One of them just hit 2 million followers on TikTok.
Incredible.
And we've got others with hundreds of thousands. And these are all our internal creators. So we have them producing, between 5 and 10 creatives, or UGCs, they're called, user generated content. So 5 to 10 ads on a daily basis. And we're launching between 400 and 600 ads on every single day. So this is paid advertising, right?
Yes.
But for you, Rob, for somebody like yourself, I think the opportunity is massive to create a brand on TikTok where it'll be impossible for you to do it on Instagram right now or on any other platform, because it's just difficult to get reach. But right now, to get reach on TikTok is highly possible.
Nice.
And highly doable, and highly, definitely doable. So but it requires work, and it requires being creative, and it requires literally launching. If you asked one of my top creators, they'll tell you three videos a day. And while each one of those videos is somewhere between 30 seconds and a minute, it still takes work, still takes time editing, right? It is, look, it's work, but it will pay off. So if you're an influencer that wants to use any platform, I would definitely suggest to get on TikTok.
I love it. Well, first, let me say, I totally want to take you up on your offer. We've done over 1,000 books for clients. And so I do a live coaching call to my past clients and current clients every week. And I've never talked about TikTok. We primarily focus on and talk about Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, et cetera, even some Google AdWords. And so would love to have you on with my clients. And when we're done with the podcast, we can schedule that. So if you wanted to, if you were willing to do that, that would be fantastic.
Sure. Absolutely. So what I'll do is, you don't want me on for that.
Okay.
You want
your content creators.
You want my creators. You don't want me on.
Okay. Awesome. I say the same thing about the book stuff. I'm like, you don't want me writing your book. You want my writers doing that. I love it.
But that's the way to build, so we talk about blitz scaling in the book, right? We talk about massive growth.
Yeah.
And mind if I talk about blitz scaling itself and how to grow a massive business? So, I learned this back in 2010. I launched my company called Evo Canada, which was a payments company throughout. It still is I sold it in 2016, but I launched it in 2009. I was the first employee in partnership with a group out of New York. And I had a big chunk of equity in the company. So we launched in 2009, and a year and a half later, fast forward, I have 200 employees, and I'm sitting at my desk in December, right around this time, what is it, 10 years ago now? 10 years ago, I'm sitting at my desk completely, stressed out of my mind, looking at my computer, and I have thousands of emails.
Wow.
And I'm like, how am I going to get through this? So I was stressed. I literally wanted to quit the company that I had launched a year and a half earlier, which got me out of depression, which got me out of anxiety, which got me out of bankruptcy, right? So financially, I was dead broke when I started. And then fast forward a year and a half later, I'm back on top, making a tremendous amount of cash. But so I'm sitting there and I'm like, I need coaching. I need help. I need to get out of this stressful situation. So I was typing online, business mentorship, coach. And guess whose name kept on coming up? Tony Robbins. Yeah. So 3 weeks later, he was having business mastery event in Las Vegas. So I'm like, this is 10 grand. And I never spent that much before on anything like this. So I'm like, you know what? I got to do it. I just have to do it. So then I flew to Vegas, and the first thing you find out is you are the problem with your business. Yeah. You're the issue, nobody else. So I find out that, if you're doing all the work, if your email box is clogged with finance stuff, sales stuff, customer service, legal, compliance, blah, 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 you're not doing the right job. Right. So I didn't have the right people in the right places. Right. Therefore, my stress levels went up. And it's also I think I made this term up. I don't know, but I call it the entrepreneur's dilemma. So every entrepreneur thinks they need to be the smartest and the best and the brightest in every single thing in their business. Well, that's a fallacy. That's a joke. So I learned really fast then, and Dan Sullivan, also from Strategic Coach. I don't know if you know Dan.
Yeah, I love Dan.
Awesome, right? So I'm part of his group as well. And Dan tells you, if there's anything that gives you any stress, get out of it. Delegate it out. It. You want to be in the lane that you want to be in. Right. So here's the secret to blitzscaling a business. Get out of the way. Hire the best people and put them in a position and let them go. And I learned that quickly right then and there in 2011, that hired the best. So I came back from that event. I fired my VP of sales, my head of marketing, head of call center, blah, and I replaced them. I cleaned house.
No kidding. Wow.
So, and I put the right people in the right spot. And within 3-4 months, I was like, oh my God, my stress was gone.
Yeah.
I was able to focus on what I wanted to focus on and grow the business, and so I've taken that, that learnings and brought it into the media business. So the reason why you don't want me on the creator call is because I haven't created one creative my whole life. So.
I get it. I love it.
So in a nutshell, how do you blitz scale a business? Hire the best people, put them in the right spots, let them do their job, and you oversee. That's it. That's the secret.
Right.
But it's all about dropping your ego and letting the best do the work. Yeah. Drop your ego, which is part of the book as well, part of the formula.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's a hard thing for people to do.
It is. I mean, there's also logistical parts of that, right? Finding the best people, affording the best people. I mean, how would somebody scale this that isn't already sitting on 200 employees, tremendous cash flow, et cetera? Like, talk to the coach or the consultant that is growing their business and they're getting to $1 million or $2 million or $3 million. And, now to really scale it, they're going to need to go from 3 to 10. And what does that look like for them with this?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you that's easy. Yeah. And why is it easy? People think it's the story you tell yourself. That's number one. I'm going to tell you, I'll give you a story around that. So most of our employees are sitting out of Montreal. And the market right now, like everywhere else, the employment market is tight. So we're looking for a head of finance. People are telling me, there's over 100 availabilities out there. You're not going to find somebody. You're not going to find something. I'm like, yeah, watch me. So I wrote a kick-ass ad, right? Yeah. And I put it in Indeed, and I started literally getting, how many CVs or resumes. They started flooding in. I had the choice, right? I'm the one who did the hiring in that case because I wanted to pick somebody that I liked running my finance department. I found the guy I wanted. So here's the point. For that one, I had to pay a lot of money. But the point is, to answer your question, I don't believe that right now because you can find undervalued assets everywhere. Yeah. Now, one thing you have to get out of your head, that millennials or Gen Z are lazy. It's not the case. It's not true. That's a bad story to tell yourself. When you meet my creators, Rob, you're going to be like, wow, these people are awesome. Yeah. And these are between the ages of 19 and 23 years old. I have hundreds of them. Wow. Yeah. And so we used our creator pool, who are 1099s, I guess you call them, right there. We pay them on a per video basis. Yeah. But we've used that pool and we've filtered up the top creators and the top work ethic creators and put them in positions of management, positions of leadership within the organization. So you can find Gen Z at a very reasonable price and have them help you build your business. We built our business on Gen Z only. No kidding. Very cool. Well, I can't wait to meet some of these Gen Zers. You will. I love it. That's going to be fun. So fantastic, man. Thanks for the sharing. Let's change the topic just a little bit, back to the book, but more in regards to what this book is going to do for you and your business. How are you going to use this book? You're a great marketer. You're somebody that's built multiple businesses. You didn't write this book just with the idea that you want to write a book. You had a plan in place. You had things you were thinking about. So how are you using it? What's your plan? What are you looking to do with this book? Well, I'll tell you the story around actually deciding to write the book. So it was about after my colossal, crash and then my sort of resurgence in the payment space. I had a buddy of mine come to me and say, hey, and he's a gentleman who runs a marketing company as well. He's like, listen, you have so many great stories. You could help so many people out. Why don't you write a book? And this is 10 years ago. And I was like, I put him off for 10 years, basically. Yeah. I said, I don't want to do it. And then finally, about a year and a half ago, I said, you know what? Now's the time with all the craziness going around in the world and, with the bleak outlook in the world, let's write one and let's give some light at the end of the tunnel. So I wrote it, number one, to satisfy my buddy. I'm just kidding. Yeah, and number two, right? There's always some peer pressure to it. That's right. Number two is because I truly believe that the formula itself works and can help people. It can. So if you're somebody that wants to take action and get up and go, this formula works, and it's worked for me and it can work for you. And, I guess lastly is a lot of people write books for profit and for gain. I'm not really concerned about profit and gain. I'm concerned. I wrote it for sort of, kind of thought leadership status. Yes. And the ability to which I think it will make my company more valuable, which it's doing already. So it's kind of that to be known as sort of a CEO who understands blitz scaling, a CEO who understands how to take a company from 0 to 1,000 really quickly. So it's kind of around that. It's not really to get speaking gigs, and it's not really to get profit, but just, I guess, notoriety in the thought leadership space.
Well, that's big, right? I mean, you already referenced that has already raised the value of your company by raising the value of the most important part of the company, yourself. So clearly there's that goal in mind. Now, it may lead to speaking in a lot of other opportunities, which you may or may not take, but those opportunities, if they continue to raise your value, right, your celebrity status in your space, wow, why not, right? And then there's book 2, book 3, book 4.
Well, I already have book 2. I've started the thought process around that. So it's pretty cool.
Very cool.
I'll share that with you offline, Rob.
I love it, man. Awesome. Any other thoughts? I mean, I don't normally ask that, but there's so many different places that we've already gone, and I think it's been so valuable for people that are listening. Anything else that maybe I should have asked?
Well, there's if I can give a gift out, that'd be great. Can I give a gift to your listeners?
Yes, let's give them a gift.
The gift is I created what's called the Lucky Score. So it's a quiz that grades you on how lucky you are. So it's on a scale from 1 to 100. It asks you a series of questions and it spits out a score at the end, and it gives you tips and tricks on how to get even more luckier and more successful. So you can find the quiz at theluckyformula.com/quiz. Again, it's theluckyformula.com/quiz. And go ahead, take the score. And I'd love to hear the results back. I'd love to hear how lucky people are. And even if they're not as lucky as they'd hope, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. There's tips and tricks on how to get luckier.
Very cool. Dude, I am going to take that as soon as we're done with the podcast. That's intriguing to me because I feel really lucky. I'm a lucky guy.
You better email me. I want to know how lucky you are.
I will. I'll totally do that. So we got a place for them to go. I would imagine there they can also get a copy of your book, or there's some other links there that we want to give them. We'll obviously put the links in the show notes as well. But is all of your additional resources found in that place as well?
You can also go to my website, which is Mark, M-A-R-K, Lachance, LACHANCE.com.
Great.
Find out about the book, find out a little bit more about me, and you can also follow me on Instagram at Mr. Lucky Official.
That's great, man. That's great. Mark, awesome, man. Great to have you on. Thanks for sharing your wisdom. Really, really good stuff. I mean, we went from the very broad to the very specific, talking about TikTok, and I think there's more stuff for you and I to do, and maybe down the road there's another opportunity for us to talk about book number 2 and share that with our listeners as well. So thank you so much for being on, brother.
Awesome, Rob. Thanks for having me.